We were getting yet another snowfall this morning, April 8th, 2025, and I was just sitting in the house when all of a sudden I noticed quite a commotion outside. The blue jays were screaming loudly, frantically, so I got up to look outside because that often means that there's a predator around. And sure enough, when I got to the kitchen window, off over towards the tractor shed, I saw this bird on the ground feeding on something. So I grabbed my binoculars, and fairly quickly I could tell that it had killed a red-winged blackbird. In the end, I identified this bird as a sharp-shinned hawk. At first I was a bit confused. I thought it might have been a Cooper's hawk because it was quite large, but upon closer inspection it does have more characteristics of a sharp-shinned hawk. The sharp-shinned hawk is our smallest member of the accipiter family. The accipiters are bird-eating hawks, and there's three of them basically that live around this area. The sharp-shinned hawk, which is the smallest one, ranges in size from about 10 to 14 inches. Then there's the Cooper's hawk, which is crow-sized, and then there's the northern goshawk, which is quite large, almost the size of a raven, I guess. Anyhow, as I mentioned, this one seemed fairly large, which probably indicates it's a female because they get larger than the males. And as I previously mentioned, these are bird-eating hawks. They have short wings and rounded wings and long tails, which make them good for maneuvering in and around bushes and through forests. And they're very fast flyers through such habitat. So they'll often make sneak attacks on birds and just outmaneuver them and then catch them in their long claws. They also have long legs, which enable them to thrust their legs out in the air and nab onto avian prey, such as smaller birds of many types. So I watched this bird for probably half an hour. It was actually sitting out there feeding probably for a full hour or more. And I just managed these clips while it was feeding. This bird is still immature, but getting closer towards fully adult, just based on the plumage. The breast streaking and whatnot are adult. The eye color is still yellow, which indicates immature, but it's probably just approaching adulthood, I suspect, probably a couple years old or so. And this bird, like most accipiters, they don't leave a lot of food after they've fed. This bird ate almost everything except the feathers. And I've seen that before. Years ago, I used to have pigeons as pets, and sometimes they would get caught by the goshawks or Cooper's hawks. And sometimes I'd find the remains in the woods or whatever, and you might just find the head sitting there, maybe a pair of feet, and that's about it. They even eat a lot of the bones, which, while the bird is alive, are still soft in nature, relatively soft compared to dried bones. But they don't leave a lot behind. They certainly make use of the food to a great degree. And quite often I do see these birds around the bird feeding areas when the weather is nasty like this. I don't know if it's just circumstantial evidence, but I seem to see them catch things more often when it's bad weather or cloudy and miserable than on a nice sunny day. Maybe they do actually seek out areas like that more frequently when it's miserable weather than when it's a clear sunny day. Maybe they realize they can sneak up on the prey easier during such times like this when it's pretty heavy snow and blowing snow and wind and everything else to, I guess, distract other birds from approaching predators. So this guy here, he had fed now for about half an hour, and he was just taking a bit of a respite before starting again, just having a look around. And it was interesting to note that once he had been there for a little while, all the smaller birds came and started feeding again. They knew they were safe now because it was eating on the ground and it wasn't going to go after them. So that was kind of interesting to see them all come out again and just sort of ignore the bird, even though it was only 10 or 20 feet away sometimes. Because typically if they see a bird like this fly in, they're gone. All the little birds are gone as far as they can go, or into a dense shrubbery where they can find protection.